Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. We begin tonight in the Yukon, where Victoria Gold's Eagle Mine has halted operations following a landslide at the facility. The CBC's Callie McTavish has the latest.
Victoria Gold Corps has confirmed the slide was caused by a heap leach failure. In a statement by President and CEO John McConnell, he says there has been some damage to infrastructure and a portion of the failure has left containment. According to the company's website, the heap leach facility uses a cyanide solution to percolate through ore stacked in 10-meter layers to dissolve the gold. Approximately 1 million tons of ore is processed each month by that method. Donna Hope says she is concerned about the land and the water.
We have our technical crew out there, environmental monitors, to be our eyes and ears on the land, and we're just waiting for more updates.
Eagle Mine employs approximately 500 people. While investigations are underway, the mine has halted operations. Also, the Toronto Stock Exchange is not trading the stock for the time being while investigations are underway. Callie McTavish, CBC News, Whitehorse.
An Ontario woman is in custody in Iqaluit tonight while she waits to learn her sentence. Karima Manji appeared in an Iqaluit court for the first time today since she was charged with fraud. Manji has admitted to defrauding Inuit organizations of more than $150,000. That money was used for her twin daughter's education. Manji was expected to be sentenced today, but that'll now happen on Thursday. The judge revoked her bail, so Manji will remain in custody until then. The Crown has asked for a minimum sentence of 18 months, while Manji's lawyer has asked for a conditional sentence, which is typically served through house arrest. A man from Iqaluit, Nunavut has been charged with 10 offenses following 4 separate investigations. 23-year-old Louis Kripanik faces a range of charges, including sexual assault, breaching probation, and breaking and entering. The charges arose from incidents between June 13th and June 18th, according to Nunavut RCMP. Police believe there may be other victims. Kripanik is expected to appear in court on July 23rd. In the Yukon, wildfires burning less than a kilometer from the North Klondike Highway continue to force closures because of poor visibility. They are just 2 of 34 active wildfires currently burning in the territory. As Katrin Pilkington reports, the highway was closed on and off throughout the weekend.
The North Klondike Highway reopened this morning, but poor visibility quickly required it be shut down in a matter of hours. The road closure stretches between Pelly and Stewart Crossing. Officials say crews are working on the fire in the hopes of allowing that important corridor to reopen. In central Yukon, an evacuation alert is still in effect for wildfires northwest of the Minto Bridge on the Silver Trail. But early this afternoon, wildfire officials did share that that fire is no longer out of control and is now being held. A 20-person crew and helicopter are on site working to keep the fire under control ahead of hot and dry weather expected later this week. Officials are concerned that new wildfires will be coming later this week due to widespread lightning risk and dry forest conditions. Katrin Pilkington, CBC News, Whitehorse.
After a hot, dry weekend in the Northwest Territories, fire officials say the wildfire burning at Fort Good Hope blew up and is now more than 5,000 hectares big. The good news, though, it's not growing towards the community. Crews continue to build fire barriers to protect structures and stop the fire from getting any closer. And officials say that work is going well. People in Fort Good Hope evacuated more than a week ago when the fire moved within a few kilometers of town. There's still no news on when people may be able to return home. With wildfire season well underway in Western Canada, the small community of Kingfisher in BC is taking measures of its own. Over the weekend, residents received basic training in how to fight fires. As Megan Dooling reports, it's part of the province's plan to bulk up human resources to help BC wildfire crews in remote areas.
Everything we have is volunteer. So people built fire wagons, complete with hoses and pumps, and that's all been community-minded people. So yeah, every year we just get a little bit better, a little bit more knowledgeable, and I think we're going in the right direction.
Kingfisher is a rural community with around 500 year-round residents. It doesn't have a fire department, so community members are doing what they can to be self-reliant. The Kingfisher Community Society formed so the group could sign up for the 2-day S100 course.
A pump site without a water thief.
Doug McLeod is an experienced forester who's given 13 courses this spring in rural communities across the interior of BC.
In my experience, the locals, they know the area, they know the roads, they know the terrain, they know the weather. They're invaluable. They know the water sources.
McLeod says BC's recent push to educate First Nations and other remote residents is the future of wildfire fighting. It's new this year, and how it plays out remains to be seen. Megan Dooling, CBC News, Kingfisher.
The Yukon Forum has been cancelled until further notice. The territorial government says it's because of recent tragic events. Last week, 2 women died in a crash on the Alaska Highway north of Teslin. Multiple communities are also mourning the deaths of citizens. The forum is a meeting between the Yukon government, Yukon First Nations, and the Council of Yukon First Nations, and it happens 4 times each year. The Gwich'in Tribal Council is touring its communities this month, sharing information from an elder and youth gathering this past February. The GTC found that people want to feel more connected to each other. Participants suggested holding traditional gatherings more often and visiting elders regularly. A traditional canoe trip is already being planned for this summer. Organizers say the sessions were just the beginning, and they hope to facilitate more sharing in the future.
Times are tough. We've been dealing with a lot of really, difficult things, seeing a lot of our own people pass, due to a lot of drugs and alcohol. So I really do appreciate just people's openness to talk about these things and be very vulnerable, about their own lives and what they're sharing.
Tonight, GTC officials are in Inuvik, and they'll be in Sigachik on Wednesday. They visited Fort McPherson and Aklavik last week. The city of Yellowknife is drawing water from Yellowknife Bay to replenish reservoirs because water is flowing out of a pump house at an unexplainable rate. It is this pump house that is causing the problem. It's not known why so much water is flowing away. The city says it could be a leak or increased usage. A City of Yellowknife spokesperson says the city is not low on water, but it has started pulling water from Yellowknife Bay instead of the Yellowknife River to keep the water levels steady. The city is only typically allowed to withdraw a certain amount of water from the bay, but in emergencies, it is allowed to exceed that. In this case, the pipeline from the river is too small and it can't pump water fast enough to keep up. This is just the latest incident of Yellowknife needing to use a backup supply of water due to potential infrastructure issues. And it's happening as the city looks for more money to replace the aging pipeline that supplies its drinking water.
You promised me that you won't look back. There's gonna come a time you'll feel the darkness. You don't let them win.
How does someone just disappear? How can I be in love with something that was never there?
We are not a dying people. We are here and we are speaking.
I had a vision that I one day would be free again.
It is my right, it is my privilege, and it is my heritage.
When we see Team Canada on the world stage, we're witnessing pure greatness. What we don't see is their struggle. We don't see Maggie McNeil navigating her anxiety, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander getting cut from his high school team, or Ellie Black hearing she's just too old to compete. What we don't see makes us who we are. We're all bravely facing the odds in our lives, and our bravery is our victory.
Who's this then?
Inspector George Crabtree.
We'll just be needing one more thing.
Well, this is delightful.
So, you want to watch CBC News Explore, a new kind of news channel. Here's how to find us. We're on the CBC News app, on CBC Gem, and on your smart TV. Stream anytime. It's always free. CBC News Explore.
Sipping on a bit of Henny. Can I get a little Remy? Feeling heavy. Chilling, but I'm feeling ready. Pulled up in a big old Chevy. Dance floor stops and me gal them drops. Queen with the locks and the crown on top. Feet in a box, never sound on pots. If it ain't the Henny, give me crown on rocks.
We are just under 20 minutes away from the puck drop at the Stanley Cup Finals. It is Edmonton versus Florida, and the Oilers are hoping to do what some might call the reverse sweep. They were down against the Florida Panthers 3-0 before winning 3 straight games to force a Game 7. It has been a wild ride for fans, and as Terry Reith reports, they couldn't be more excited.
One way or another, the Edmonton Oilers' remarkable season comes to a close tonight. A team that looked like it was going nowhere in November, scrapped its way into the playoffs, now playing in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. For many fans, this is a team of destiny.
I have a lot of faith because I think one of the big themes is to believe.
There were so many points where you thought they weren't going to do anything that it getting to where it's at now is just incredible.
The mood couldn't be higher. And it's summer, it's June in Edmonton, so everybody's excited. It's the perfect storm. I love it.
Rogers Place is sold out tonight. It will be Canada's biggest watch party, but far from the only one. From Vancouver Island to Newfoundland to the far north to Imperial, Saskatchewan, people will be watching this game with interest. I mentioned Imperial, Saskatchewan, the hometown of Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch, celebrating his first year as an NHL coach in this Game 7. He says he is just thrilled and excited to be here.
They know what's at stake. They know what we're playing in. I don't think they need any extra motivation. I think that's just about settling the nerves and staying focused on what is important that needs to be executed, and just the emphasis on enjoying the moment, having fun.
It's been 18 years since the Edmonton Oilers have faced a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final, 34 years since their last cup. In fact, Matthias Ekholm, now an Oilers star, was born on the same day the Oilers hoisted their last Stanley Cup, but he says, no pressure.
At the end of the day, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. It's a big game. I get it. We all want to win it, like no question about it, but there's going to be a team losing tonight regardless of how the game goes.
Edmonton is preparing for a huge party tonight. Of course, everyone is hoping for a win. Edmonton police are also planning. They have a command post set up downtown, not exactly saying what their plans are, just asking fans not to get too rowdy tonight. Terry Reith, CBC News, Edmonton.
In Yellowknife, fans are just as excited. You really can't go far in town without seeing an Oilers flag. Rowan Fleary checked in with some Yellowknifers to see how they're feeling before the game.
Woo, go Oilers!
It's the best 2 words in sports, Game 7. The winner takes all tonight when the Oilers and Panthers play Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. It was all Florida at the start and all Edmonton ever since. And a team has not come back from being down 3-0 like that since 1945. Yellowknife residents Lawrence Nitsiza says he won't miss the game tonight.
They did the comeback. Now that we're facing Game 7 today. It's the last game of hockey till fall time, winter.
Nitsiza says it's been a long time since a team has made a major comeback like this in a series final. He's far from the only Yellowknifer or Northerner tuning into this historic game. People are gathering at restaurants, bars, and with family and friends at home.
I think this is very exciting. My boys are really excited, so we're going to watch the game tonight. Yay, Oilers!
Oilers!
Rita Porter says this game will be a special one since her dad, a longtime fan, passed away. She hopes they will win for her dad.
I can't believe our Oilers made it. Go do this for Ben. And I'm Oilers diehard fan.
If Florida loses, they will become the second team in NHL history to do so after leading 3-0 in the series. And if Edmonton wins, they will be the first Canadian team to hoist a Stanley Cup since 1993. Rowan Fleary, CBC News, Yellowknife.
A win tonight for Edmonton would help solidify their captain's place as one of the greatest players in the history of the game. Aaron Collins takes a look at Connor McDavid's impact on the sport.
McDavid stayed on side.
Just another day at the office for Connor McDavid, but this assist, special. The 34th of this postseason, breaking a record held by Wayne Gretzky, part of a growing legacy even McDavid grudgingly acknowledges.
Obviously not the focus, with where we're at, but, not lost on me, what he means to the game.
Not the focus, but hard to ignore. Gretzky's records long thought to be unassailable, but as McDavid surpasses some of the great one's totals, a conversation long thought unthinkable is ramping up.
We could be watching the best ever to play hockey.
Hockey insiders who've watched both players caught up in the debate.
What makes Connor McDavid so good?
It's that he can do anything. His speed is unbelievable. He can go around people. He can go through people. He can hold up and suddenly deceive you. He's just the all-around package, and I've never seen a guy like that.
Of course, McDavid, good as he is, still has a mountain to climb to catch Gretzky. The great one scored nearly 3,000 points in his career. McDavid's yet to hit 1,000. Still, the debate over McDavid and the great one alive among Oilers fans.
He means like everything, basically.
Just a legend. Like, he is just godlike. He's phenomenal.
Ooh, he's not quite Gretzky yet, but I think he's right below.
I think he's getting up there. He's close to number one. He's getting close to Gretzky-esque.
McDavid's coach, a believer.
Wants to win, wants to be the best. So between his love and passion, I think that just allows him to rise up.
Of course, there's another area McDavid trails the great one. Gretzky led the Oilers to 4 Stanley Cups, something McDavid hasn't done, at least not yet. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
As you've heard, it's been decades since a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup, so excitement for tonight is high straight across the country. Kyle Moore shows us how fans in Nova Scotia are getting ready for the big game.
He's got Henry.
The Edmonton Oilers are one win away from rewriting NHL history. No team in the NHL's expansion era has trailed 3 games to none in the Stanley Cup final and come back to win the best-of-7 championship.
This is the biggest roller coaster of a ride in hockey I think I've ever been on in regards to my own team. I certainly hope we pull it off. I feel like we will.
It's not hard to tell who Derek DeBone is cheering for tonight. He's been an Oilers fan all his life and has the gear to back it up.
I was lucky enough to be an Oilers fan pretty well right from the get-go. So my father used to bring me lots of stuff home from Edmonton on his yearly trips, business trips to Edmonton. So I've been collecting for probably, I would say, close to 40 years.
I think we have to cheer for the Florida Panthers here in Port Hawkesbury, since they did host their training camp at the Port Hawkesbury Civic Center in 2009.
That's not the only team town councillor Jason O'Coin will be cheering for tonight. He will also be keeping an eye on Antigonish native Matt McPherson, who will work the lines in the game as part of the officiating crew.
And what that does is it gives, the younger kids here, gives them some hope, and they know that in the middle of nowhere you can be drafted and scouted, and if not necessarily playing the NHL, maybe officiate.
Back in Whitney Pier, Damone is predicting his team will come out on top tonight.
I'm going to have to go with my Oilers. 5-2 victory, bringing the cup back to Edmonton.
And if they do, the Oilers would be the first Canadian team to win the Cup in more than 30 years. Meanwhile, the Panthers are hunting for the franchise's first Stanley Cup. Either way, the Game 7 winner will make history. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
Oilers goalie Stuart Skinner has been impressing fans with big saves at key moments to keep the team in the series despite losing the first 3 games. As Travis McEwen reports, he's looking to become the latest hometown hero in the quest for the Cup.
It reads like a sports screenplay. A local goaltender playing for the team he grew up watching and playing his best hockey during a Stanley Cup final. Stuart Skinner is focused on winning it all, but the brilliance of the moment isn't lost on him.
It's really hard to get into a situation like this, and being able to embrace this moment that you've worked so hard for is really all you can do.
During the whole playoff run, Skinner's save percentage hasn't been great. But those numbers don't show you how well he's played in games 5 to 7 in the last 3 series. He can't fully explain why, but he credits it to learning as he goes.
It's a byproduct of the experiences that I go through and what I do with them. It's also a byproduct of how my team plays in front of me. These guys have been nothing but be supportive and play good on both ends of the ice.
He's a 25-year-old in a big position with a big mustache. The Oilers coach says the team feeds off his great play.
And whether they're nervous or struggling or whatever, puts in a lot of doubt in your team. But when you look across and you see Stuart Skinner playing as well as he is, Connor McDavid putting up back-to-back 4-point games, that gives your team a lot of confidence. And your best players do that.
It's tough, but it's also what you dream of. Anybody that's had the opportunity to play in a Stanley Cup final and then play in your home building with all your fans behind you, it's not only an honor, but it's exciting, it's fun, it is nerve-wracking, but once you settle into the game, you're worried about one thing, and that's stopping the puck.
For sports psychologists, Skinner seems to answer after a bad game, and it's exactly what they'd like to see.
He's so mentally strong and so consistent that in certain games, he actually isn't getting amped up enough. He's not activated enough. So as the series goes on and the pressure increases, he rises to the occasion. And I think what we start seeing is like the joy in his game. So when you're seeing him during the game right now, like he's smiling, he's laughing, he's having a good time, he's loving and relishing every moment.
The team brought in renowned sports psychologist George Mumford. He was hired in August as a mental coach. The team refers to him as a secret weapon, and we'll likely hear more about his relationship with Stuart Skinner when the playoff run ends. Travis McEwen, CBC News, Edmonton.
Hockey may be wrapping up for the season tonight, but we are headed straight into another big sports event, the Paris Olympics. Canadian canoeists and kayakers have high hopes of paddling their way to the podium at the Olympics and Paralympics this summer. The Canadian Olympic Committee unveiled the 16 athletes who will go to the goal for gold at the Paris Games today in Montreal. The CBC's Kwabena Uduro was there.
Laurent Levine is living out his childhood dream of competing for Canada at the Olympic Games.
It feels good. I mean, I love our country. I'm so happy to represent Canadian colors, and I'm sure it's going to be great.
He will be joined by his teammate, also from Quebec, Pierre-Luc Poulin. This will be Poulin's second time at the Olympics. He says he's learned a lot from that experience.
3 of my partners were with me in Tokyo. We have a new partner, Laurent, and I think we're going to be pretty strong. I think, again, performance has enhanced in our heads since Tokyo, and I think that's going to be an edge for us towards Paris.
The Olympic and Paralympic teams were officially announced today at the Montreal Olympic Basin. The Canadian Olympic Committee unveiled 16 athletes who will be competing for gold at the Paris Olympics. Women's canoeing was first introduced in Tokyo 2020. 22-year-old Sloane McKenzie from Nova Scotia will be making her Olympic debut.
The build-up to this was very emotional. It was also exciting. We trained very hard, so I think it's just such an honor and a privilege, and I feel so grateful to be able to represent Canada at the biggest competition in the world.
Denise, I have to ask you, how proud are you of your daughter?
I am so proud. Could not be prouder, and so happy for her.
Since canoe and kayak sprint races made their Olympic debut in 1936, Canadians have won a total of 26 medals. The peak was 6 in 1984. Coach Chad Brooks says this year's team is special.
I think, we're all going there with high expectations. It's not just to show up and compete. We want to go out there and perform. And we think we can win some medals and be in a lot of finals at that Olympic Games.
With the canoe and kayak sprint teams officially announced, the real work begins. The team will be heading to Paris in less than a month to start training. Competitions begin in 6 weeks, where the team is hoping to come back to Canada with some medals. Cubino Duro, CBC News, Montreal.
And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a good night.
Are you ready to be entertained?
Stand-up comedy, best comedians from across the globe.
Oh, great.
An incredible lineup.
Canada.
Are you ready? Oh. Are you kidding me?
CBC's got the best in stand-up comedy.
That's pretty unbelievable, man.
It's a scam. It's a scam.
No f***ing way.
Ooh, it's a bit spicy.
It'll change your life.
Catch it all free on CBC Gem.
Well done. Y'all give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
What happens when we transform the country into one massive obstacle course? 20 total strangers are about to find out.
Okay, game on.
Relationships will be forged and crushed.
I want to rip their heads off.
In an all-out battle for glory.
Oh my God! I'm glad that there's cameras around. Yeah, me too. Do it in, replay.
Only one thing's for sure. They are not ready for what's coming.
Let's go, baby!
That same woman from the SEC keeps calling. Can I give her your number?
No.
Michael Lazaridis, want to come and answer some questions?
Why is the SEC looking at us?
I'm sure it's nothing. Yeah.
I'm just wondering how you convinced all these engineers from around the world to come all the way to Canada. Do you know what the sentence is for multi-million-dollar stock fraud?
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
I did not know what my future would look like.
The industry wasn't set up for me to thrive in.
I didn't realize how formative 25 to 30 would be.
I was so excited when they said I got to do an interview with you.
Q with Tom Power. Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
You promised me that you won't look back. You don't let them win.
I had a vision that I one day would be free again.
We are not a dying people. We are here and we are speaking.